Hey, Shalom, it's your brother Yawanathan. All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rahahakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth and sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Plan to do this lesson a couple days ago. Just now get into it. I had the elder Manatazak behind town, man. I was making sure he was situated. But wanted to do this lesson. I got a clip I'm gonna show you guys. Now, the lady in the clip, she's not a woman that I believe fears Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. Nonetheless, what she's gonna say is true, and we're gonna respond to it through the Spirit. And Abaratazada lesson is edifying. So, with no further ado, here's the clip.
Your husband has significantly more authority over you than your father could ever. Your father was part of your birth. Your husband is your actual head. You and your husband are one. You were never one with your father. Women have the most difficulty playing their role because you have decided, based on what you've been indoctrinated, as I like to say, hoodwinked, tricked, and bamboozled into believing, is that somehow you and your husband are on par in that relationship. You are not. Your husband is your actual head. In the spiritual realm, you're not seen as two people. You're seen as your husband, as your head, and you're the body. And with that being said, that means that as your head directs you. So yes, your husband has the right to tell you what to do, where to go, what to wear. Yes, he does. And this whole attitude, well, he's not my daddy, he can't tell me what to do. Ladies, that is, first of all, it's just ignorance to say things like that. Number one, your husband has significantly more authority over you than your father could ever. Your father was part of your birth. Your husband is your actual head. You and your husband are one. You were never one with your father. You came through your mother. You're not one with your parents. You're one with your husband. And so to say things, well, my daddy don't tell me what to do, so my husband, your daddy can't tell you what to do when you get an adult. But your husband absolutely can and should if you're married.
All right, man. I want to now. The title of this lesson is called "Traces of Feminism Holding You Back." Okay, because in order to cross the finish line of salvation, you one have to be a part of something bigger than yourself, which is going to require faith, which is what the Lord is looking for when He returns. So you got to understand, that it's not about you. Now I want to go to Genesis 2:18, where it says, "And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone, and I will make an helpmeet for him." Let's go look up that word helpmeet. And it's simply going to be the word Izar, H5828, and it's going to say help to succor, one who helps. Let's look up that word succor. Now, when you look up the word succor, which is Succor, it says assistance and support in times of hardship and distress. Now, the women in this society, majority of them, if a man goes through hardship or distress, what spirit do they get in? They get in the spirit of Job's wife. Remember when Job went through all his hardship? In Job, the second chapter, what did she say when Job lost everything? She wasn't down. She wasn't a rotted out. She said, what? Curse God and die. Let's go get that really quick. Let's go get the mentality of the modern woman here. And the thing about it is, the scriptures say, when my son, when thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. If a man is serving the Lord and walking after Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, the Lord promises him hardship as a character building tool. So if you're with a man in the Lord, yeah, you're going to go through hardships with him. And you got to be in the right spirit when those hardships come. This is Job 2:10. It says, "But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil?" In all this, did not Job sin with his lips? Job understood that, yeah, you're going to get the full spectrum from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You're going to be abased and abound, and he wants to see you operate in righteousness regardless of the situation that you're in. Regardless if you're lifted up and doing well and feeling good, or if you're feeling bad or you're brought low, you still default unto the Lord's moral compass, unto the Lord's standard. That's the marker of the value a man has, his usefulness to the Lord, regardless of the weather. Also, in the clip, she mentioned being one flesh. Now, you were never one flesh with your father, with your parents. Okay. Now, spiritually, the Lord looks at the ye men of Israel. He looks at us as his woman, and the consummation of our marriage with him. All right. Don't get simple. But the consummation of our marriage with him happens when what? When we're beamed up into those chariots and we're changed from the mortal into the immortal, and we're given those new bodies. All right. The sealing of marriage, the sealing of becoming one flesh, is sex. Simply put, of course, the families in ancient Israel, they would get together, they would outline contracts between one another so that, it was mutually beneficial. The family businesses could profit off of one another. Wills were, written down, all those things. But the consummation of the marriage happened through the breaking of her hymen, which is why they would do the deed on those sheets, and there would be blood on the sheets, and that would be a token of her virginity to prove if anybody ever came back later and said she wasn't a virgin when I met her. No, they have the tokens of virginity. There was a protection for the woman, okay? Because there was a law on somebody who you know there were laws on how to deal. You know what it is. There were laws on how to deal with women, man. For adultery, or if she wasn't a virgin, things could be disannulled. Or if a woman committed adultery, she could be put to death. And the man, okay, there was a standard when we were sovereign. Right now, we're not sovereign. And we're not going to be sovereign again until the Lord returns and puts us back in the land. When the Lord does it. All right, and that's a cut to the small hats, because the nation of Israel wouldn't be sovereign before the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay, due to pursuing the prophecy. All right, so let's go get the hierarchy of the Israelite family and how the Lord intended it to be. Okay, because again, she mentioned in the clip that most women today, they think, oh, me and my husband, we're partners, we're 50-50, we're equal. My say is weighs just as much as his. No. Imagine if in a corporation everybody was equal. Imagine, think it would be very hard to get things done. Okay. That's not how the Lord has set it up. Every team has a coach, has an owner, has a GM, has the players. You have players who are leaders amongst other players and things like that, but there's always a hierarchy for anything or any group of people that achieve great success or achieve great feats. There's always a hierarchy, and that's just not the natural thought process, of a woman. But that's how the Lord ordained things. So let's read. It's 1 Corinthians 11:3. It says, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is the Mashiach." All right, Yahushua. "And the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the man is the Mashiach." Let's read that in the NLT, same verse, 1 Corinthians 11:3. It says, "I want you to understand that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is her husband, and the head of every husband is Christ." This hierarchy, check that out, is God's design. Christ leads us, a husband leads his wife, and God, the Father, leads the Mashiach. Simply put, man. So even within the family, the mother is over the children, okay? And she echoes the sentiment or the vibration or the standard from the Father. Now, if you're a woman that's following after Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and you just so happen to be with the man of the Lord, you got to have faith. So when we talk about submission, it's not something that makes you weak, especially in our walk. Somebody that's aiding the establishment of the kingdom of heaven, you have to have faith that the Lord is dealing with your husband, which is why it's so important who you open your legs up to. Okay, it's just a man that fears Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and if he is, then the Lord's gonna cause him to make the right decisions. He's gonna give him insight into things I may not see afar off. He's gonna give him foresight so that he can provide. I like to say, the 4 P's: provision, protection, problem solving, and procreation, which would just be growth. Okay, for the women in procreation, you're gonna bring forth children, man. You're gonna grow in the spirit. You're gonna help raise those children up in the spirit, so that the family of Israel, comes on a higher level in these days. You know, uh, a man of the Lord is gonna provide those things, which in the scriptures is food, raiment, and duty of marriage. Okay, those things pretty much blanket everything I mentioned. Okay, so faith. Again, it all boils down to faith, and it's not gonna be. It's rare to come across a woman who is endowed with that gift. All right, so let's go to Ephesians 5:25. Bear with me really quick while I get it. Ephesians 5:25. All right, it reads, "Husbands, love your wives, even as the Mashiach also loved the church and gave himself for it." Okay, the Lord was willing to put his life on the line for his woman, and him and the Lord are going to be willing to do the same. If if she's obedient, she's walking after him, he's gonna put it all on the line for her. Just in that itself, if a man's willing to put his life on the line for you, least you could do is show reverence and respect and honor him and trust that he's looking out for your best interests. And if he's telling you something, is probably good that you listen. Okay, and then the scriptures command the women to be obedient to their husbands. Okay, and a woman that's a great example in the scriptures, if you really call yourself a woman and believing in this truth, Sarah, she called Abraham her Lord because he was. Your husband is a Lord over you. There are many Lords, right? Now you have the Lord, you have Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the Lord, but there are people that lord over other people. There are people that have authority over other people. And your husband is given authority over you, simply put. Let's read this again. Ephesians 5. Yeah, so if you call yourself a woman of truth, like the elder Yeshua likes to say, refer to your husband as Lord. And if that makes you feel funny inside or make you cringe a little bit or shrink back, you got work to do. Ephesians 5 and 25. Husbands, love your wives, even as the Mashiach loved the church and gave himself for it, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word, that he might present it to himself a glorious church, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it be holy, meaning to be separate, and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that loveth his wife loveth himself. So there's a particular conduct that a man is going to have towards his woman. He isn't going to be cruel or brutal towards her, but there's going to be times where he has to be firm and stern. Okay, so that the standard that the Lord has set is adhered to within his home. That's necessary. And sternness, a lot of women will get that confused. Oh, you don't love, you don't treat me. No, there's a time and a place for everything. But dealing with a woman in this society who has all this prior programming of how things are how relationships are supposed to be, you have to be pulled out of that. And a lot of times, it's going to require some sternness or breaking of habits. And we're not perfect. We got habits we need to break. But if you're especially if you're dealing with the man of the Lord, he understands. Okay, there's certain things I need to clean up. There's certain things that we probably should abstain from. Not everything is expedient. Even though something may not necessarily be breaking the law, maybe it's not a good situation for us and where we're at spiritually. A man that Yahweh Shah is dealing with will be able to recognize those things. You know, uh, let's keep going here. Ephesians 5 and 29. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord the church. For as we are members of his body, and of his flesh, and of his bones, for this cause shall a man leave his father and mother, and shall be joined unto his wife, and they two shall be one flesh, meaning in agreement and on one accord. Okay? And the consummation of becoming one flesh, of course, like I mentioned earlier, is through sex. So be very careful calling yourself a believer in this word and not doing your due diligence of who you're giving yourself to. Again, in ancient Israel, man, the families would be involved before a consummation took place, before marriage took place. There would be pretty much a background. There would be background checking each other. It just makes sense. It's a good fit. Are these people on point? Are they on point? And those two well-off houses, well, spiritually intact houses would come together and lift each other up. You see? So yeah, your husband, he's gonna have authority over you, and you should want it that way. Okay, the Lord wants it that way, but you got to have faith and trust that the man the Lord has in your life, you know, is leading you in the right direction. And you got to know that if he fears Yahweh Shem Yahushua, if he's being diligent, especially if you're talking to a man that's teaching, He's locked into the word. He's applying it to his life. He's not going to be perfect. Neither are you. Um, Doing his lessons, he's focused. You got to trust that the Lord, that He's leading you in the right direction. And it's not going to always be comfortable. It's not always going to make you feel good. But you got to understand that's just a part of your walk. Being a wife of a prophet, you're going to be neglected sometimes because he has to tend to his husband. And we're getting close to that threshold of Jacob's trouble, the MLTB being made mandatory, World War III going nuclear. We're getting close to that threshold to these major prophecies. So being with the man of the Lord in this day and age, you're not going to get the time that a regular woman in the world would get. But you're going to be rewarded for, not making it hell for that man, letting him fulfill his purpose. You're going to be a mother in Israel. And when I say that, a mother in Israel, I mean the elect lady. There's going to be a batch of women who also get beamed up and changed. And they're going to be the first generation of women in the kingdom of heaven. And the same way carnally women look at Beyonce in this world, they're going to look at the mothers in Israel, the elect women of Israel, like, oh, this is an example of what a woman is supposed to be. You want to be a part of that batch of women. You understand? Now, another thing, mention this briefly here. Isaiah 4 and 1. The scriptures talk as prophecy that the elect men of Israel, women are going to be cleaving to them. So they're not going to have just one woman. Don't be one of those women that are with the man of the Lord and you get to the finish line. And because the Lord already ordained this prophecy to come, and your man has other women, and he's using him as an umbrella to save particular spirits that he wants to save, because the Lord's going to use the men to save women. A man should be a hiding place from the wind. So don't be one of those sisters who made it to the finish line, then you bug out, you trip out, because when that prophecy plays out. First off, you know that prophecy was going to play out if you've been here. Secondly, don't be in the spirit where you just don't want to think about it. Meditate on it. How are you going to deal? Most of women, they don't even want to have that conversation. Well, talk to your husband about it, man. Hey, well, I know this is going to happen. I want to be delivered. I want to be on one accord with you. You know, have those conversations so you guys can, have an understanding that things aren't awkward or weird. And even if they are awkward or weird, it's not about you. It's not about him. It's about what the Lord is doing. So, you know, as the scriptures say, I wish everybody could make it, but some people aren't going to do the work. It takes inner work. The fight we're fighting now, the tail end of our grace period, is with the inner man. You gotta kill him. You gotta kill that old man right now. If he's still lingering there limping, even if you've been doing the work, he's still limping in the background. You gotta finish his ass off now. That's for the brothers and for the sisters. You understand? So I pray the Lord be with you, sisters. Pray that He strengthens your mind so that you could be in the right mindset as things begin to play out and the heat gets turned up. I pray for praying for the brothers and all the believers every day. I brought this out, I make it. And I pray that y'all believers, y'all pray for me as well. Um, we're about to this we're about to take the test, man. All the practice and rehearsal, man, it's almost up. So Abaratazah, man, the listeners edifying. I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim, Ruach HaKodash. Want to give double honors to apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth in sincerity, all right? May a blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.